Here we are on a beautiful sunny morning for the second race at the Nürburgring, the final round of the 2018 GT4 European Series, and the stage is well and truly set. The only title that's been settled so far was settled yesterday when Nicky Leutwiler won the AM Championship. Plenty to play for, beautiful blue skies, nearly 18 degrees, humidity 53%, but track bone dry, so it's really a perfect playing surface for the 45, get that 45 competitors will be starting this race. The grid stretches almost right the way to the control tower. Such is the number of cars. The tower of Nürburgring Castle stands proud, but Nürburgring Castle I should call it. But look, 143 points apiece for the two crews at the top. Will Chequered and Stuart Middleton in their HHC Motorsport Ginetta, battling it out with Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt in their MDM BMW. Don't discount though the crew in third place, Milan Donci and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, just 10 points down. 25 points for a win, so plenty to play for. And just outside the reckoning, young Pierre-Alexandre Jean, who's been going so well in his CMR. First of all, CMR Ginetta, but more recently the Alpine, very much a star of the future. The racing was absolutely enthralling yesterday. 1 hour that every lap seemed like a highlights loop. So many things going on and some really fantastic overtaking. And I must at this moment just pick out Stuart Middleton for going around the outside to gain fourth place in the closing laps at turn 12. Not a corner where you normally get overtaking. He tried one lap, made it stick the next. But here's the wonderful view of this 16-turn circuit. 5.137 kilometres of fun and plenty of places where you can have a go at overtaking. Doesn't always work. Rises and falls, a bit like the Big Dipper built over the grandstands. But here's the starting order. We'll have Riccardo van der Ende starting first in the number 10 McLaren. Gabriele Piana, young Italian star, will be starting alongside in the 111. That's the RN Vision STS BMW. And then Reinhard Koffler in the best of the KTMs. He's a real star in that car. He'll start third. Great partner in Ferdinand Stuck. Mark Basseng, outside shot at the Pro-Am title. He'll be starting fourth, which is 6 places ahead of the championship leader, the Pro-Am championship leader, which is Marcus Lundstras, who had such a good run to class victory yesterday. But as you can see, the grid stretches way down to 44 cars. Lost one that was damaged yesterday, but an incredible spread of cars, spread of manufacturers, just so much interest in GT4, and this has been the best season yet, the biggest grids, the best racing, the level of presentation continues to rise. And how's that for a beautiful car? The Street Art Racing 007 Aston Martin. You can't just have a number 7 on an Aston Martin, can you? And that's starting much better placed yesterday, and it's starting up the very sharp end of the grid. In fact, on row number 4, Julian Darras will kick that off. He shares with Pascal Bachmann, but Darras very much the fly driver in that car. But there's our pole starting McLaren, finished second yesterday. And really today, of course, we had the driver who started the race starting second today, so it's not Finlay Hutchinson who got that up to from 14th place to about 4th by the time he handed over to Riccardo van der Ende, and the Dutch veteran did the rest of the job. So the car on the outside, the front row, is Gabriele Piana, as I mentioned. He shares with Ravzan Umbarescu. That team going better and better, and it won yesterday's race. The sister car with Nico Menzel and Beitske Visser. The BMW M4s really have found a happy hunting ground, been very impressive since their debut in the championship midway through last year. Quite a few teams moving over to adopt them, but good to see some staying true to the cars they've run for years. Moving across to True Racing on the inside of the second row. The number 22 car, Reinhard Koffler, will be kicking off today. There's the tall bearded figure of Ferdinand Stuck, third generation Stuck racer. Cars at the front of the grid in the shade of the grandstand. The pit garage is in the sunshine beyond. Now here's the car that's challenging for Pro-Am honours. Had a great race yesterday. In fact, really not a good race at all. Finished down in the 30-somethings after a few incidents. But this morning, Mark Basseng, the fly driver in that car, will be kicking off from 4th on the grid in that Porsche Cayman from Schweder Motorsport. Moving across to the next row of the grid, and you can see the bright car. Gilles Magnus, young driver, just moved across. He had a go in Blancpain, the first race of the season. Dragoon didn't at the last moment, but he seems to be settling into GT4. Just landed this weekend. Was racing Formula Renault last year, but really is showing very strong form for the Cellizlar Racing team. That's back on row number 4. He's alongside the Aston Martin we saw just a little bit earlier. Now now outside of row 5. Jules Simkowiak will start that, but his teammate in the 77 Racing 1 Audi is the one who could win the Pro-Am honours this morning, Marcus Lungstras. But this pairing has been very, very strong in the last 2 races since Simkowiak came over to join him. Simkowiak very well known from Blancpain GT Racing. But busy packed grid. And we're going to go down to Kota, and she's with the Ginetta from HHC Motorsport with Will Tregurtha.
Will, championship contender, now you're starting P17th. All the way down here, your main contender, Max and Simon, they're starting P9th. So how are you going to get from here past them?
Well, Ginetta's, we're rapid through the corners. So hopefully by the end of the race, when everyone else's tyres have gone off, we should be all good. All the AM drivers have been in at the end of the race, so that's when we're hoping to sort of make up most of our time. Hopefully we don't lose too much at the start, because we've got a bunch of fast cars around us that might jump us into turn 1, but I mean, Stuart's done a great job yesterday, so we're going to see where we end up.
As you said, yesterday you finished 4th, so you'll be looking for a bit of a better result today. What do you think can be improved from yesterday to today?
Yeah, well, it's not easy. The Ginetta is way down on top speed compared to everyone else, but we're so much faster through the corners. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but it's where we finish that matters, not where we're starting.
Now you're missing a bit of straight line speed compared to the BMW. Is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder to overtake everyone, because they can just blast past us down the straights, whereas we can't exactly do that through the corners. But we're hoping to manage the tyres and try and race a lot smarter than everyone else around us.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Wise words indeed from Stuart Middleton, and you could see that yesterday. The car was coming better and better towards the end of the race, and Stuart Middleton, who'll be starting this morning, really was patient, but he was attacking, and he eventually got up to 4th place. But the most important thing isn't necessarily winning, it's about making sure that they match, or well, not more than match, just finish 1 place ahead of the MD at number 1 MDM Motorsport BMW, because that is the car with which they are equal on points. That's not exactly at the front end of the grid. There it is, it's down on row number 5, the inside of row 5. We've got to keep an eye on that, but the race is now along, and time after time yesterday, you can see the Ginetta just losing out in the straight line battle, so they really had to box very clever and grab any slipstream they could out of the final corner, turn 16, to use it down the straight, so they didn't lose too much ground. Here's the car that Jacob Scherber was starting, Lechner Racing Mercedes from the outside of row 6, and he is alongside the Pro Sport Performance Porsche Cable, one of 2 cars from the team that rose to 6th and 7th yesterday and then got disqualified. But BMW number 1, we've just had a little look at that. That is equal on points to the HHC Motorsport crew. Dakota's got Simon.
Simon, you're now starting P9. Your main competitor's over there in P17. I've just spoken to him. What's the plan for this race?
And the car is good, and we shall see, fingers crossed.
Do you know what side of the corner you're going to take for T1? Inside, outside? Have you spoken to Max about it?
Yesterday was outside the better one. We shall see. I don't know.
Not giving me too much. Good luck for your race.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Dakota. They are starting from the inside. That's the pit wall side, so naturally they'd be down the inside line into turn 1, but there's so many lines you can take, and you have to react to the cars around you, so he's fully aware that that will be Max Cobalt's job, and hopefully no damage down into turn 1. As you can see, as we look at the number 3 Audi, some fantastic race liveries, and certainly Phoenix Racing has 3 cars, and they all look magnificent, all totally different. And here's the car that won yesterday on the outside of row number 7 this morning, the number 110 BMW M4 from RN Vision STS. Cars look fantastic, and certainly a really brilliant start by Nico Menzel, but some really sterling driving under huge pressure at the start of the final lap. Bejskavissa had her 2 closest cars within a second of her, and they were trying to overtake each other at turn 4, but she prevailed, and then at the end won by 1 enormous second, 1 very important second. But let's go back down to the grid, because Dakota has moved up to Audi number 5, and she's got Milan Donche, who's in the overall title battle.
Milan, you're also in the championship contender. You've got to win this race, really.
Yeah, this is the only possibility. It's like the mission impossible. We really need to win, and otherwise we don't win the championship. So we have nothing to lose. So maximum attack.
Is there any sort of strategy for pit stops?
No, nothing. Just full throttle, full maximum attack, everything.
Good luck.
So very positive there. Milan Donci, he's starting from the inside of third row in that number 5 green and white Phoenix Racing Audi. And actually, it's sometimes a whole lot simpler. The other two teams in with the overall battle. We heard the HHC Motorsport crew, we heard from Will Tregertha, and then likewise we heard from Simon Knapp. But they have to box clever. They've just got to race each other and leave everything else up to, well, leave no chances. Whereas quite simply the Milan Donci car, starting from row number 3, just has to go for victory. That's all they have to focus on. Still the shadow of the large grandstands on the approach to that vital first corner. As you can see, it's a wide stretch of track. There's a kink coming in, just where the pit entry feeds out, pit exit feeds out onto the circuit. But let's take a ride, a moving ride, as the personnel clear the grid and look at this grouping of cars. When I say grouping, 44 cars spread across 22 rows, all the way back to just under the starting gantry. You can see that stretches across the track just before the race control tower, and just enjoy the spread of cars. On the right is the Alpine A110 that came on board this year and is proving very, very effective and certainly becoming a firm favourite already in the French GT Championship. BMW M4s, Audi R8 LMSs, Mercedes AMGs, Porsche Caymans. And so it goes on. KTM crossbows, you can see one on the right hand side, the one behind the 110 BMW. Lid up, Arian on the driver, that's Heikki Angermeyer who'll be starting there. That's one of the true racing examples. And then on the left of the screen, the white and blue Ginetta, that is the one that's equal in the lead of the championship, alongside the number 9 metallic blue Chevrolet Camaro. And it seems we're missing the Academy Motorsport Aston Martin. That is not in its slot on the right-hand side of the grid. I'll take a note of that. And again, more varieties of liveries, more variety of drivers. We have silver group drivers, that's 2 pros. We have Pro-Am combinations, and we have AN. There is something for everyone. And a handful of drives are only for one driver. The driver will do both parts of the race. They won't get out during the pit stop. But again, it's just testament to the GT4 European Series. Launched as an idea a while ago, became a concept, and very much become a firm racing favourite, not just in Europe, but GT4 picking up all around the world, in Asia, in the United States, and national championships as well. It really is boom time, and look how gorgeous these cars look. McLaren's as well, you can see there's Lisette Brands' Trefoil trading car, and the first time we've had a Ford Mustang, that's on the right hand of the grid. And there we are, right at the tail. So car number 75 in the penultimate position, that would be Maurizio Fondi, and alongside him Gottfried Pilz. Expect the 24 Felbermayr Reiter car to advance, because that was one that was given a punishment yesterday and put to the back of the grid accordingly. In fact, there were many notes from the stewards. And number 60, just heard news, that will be starting from the pit lane. That was the one missing from the grid. There it is, the white, yellow and black Academy Motorsport Aston Martin. Shame that's not starting from the grid, because Matt Nicol-Jones can really make that car fly. He's doing the first half of the race and then handing over to Fiona James, but necessarily he'll be coming out behind all the others. I don't know if there was a problem they had to fix. They couldn't get for the pit lane closed, but come what may, it will go out racing, which is great news. Aston Martins have been with the GT4 series right from the outset with their advantages. What's remarkable is the increasing level of performance of these GT4 cars. They're just getting quicker each year. The grid keeps growing. The quality of drivers, the calibre of the drivers, but also the ambition of the drivers is what keeps on growing. And you can see these cars look great, look fantastic in the paddock, brilliant in the track, and you are all set for an hour of absolutely solid racing action. Yesterday's was phenomenal, I would suggest. So there's Will Tregertha. He'll do the second part of the race. Stuart Middleton will be doing the first half. All the drivers swap over from yesterday, and it's all about keeping that rival car, the number 1 MDM Motorsport BMW, that's starting 4 rows ahead of them inside. Seeing how many places can be gained at the start of the stint. But as Will explain, that's a car that's light on its tyres, and as the others wear theirs out, they should come on stronger and stronger. And the Ginetta's performance through the corners is their only advantage, but they used it to great effect yesterday. So let's see if we have more of the same, or will the number 1 MDM Motorsport crew of Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt in their BMW come out on top, or the car that's starting ahead of both of them 2 rows further forward from the BMW is the Audi, being kicked off by Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and then the Phoenix Racing car will be handed over to Milan Donci. Those are the 3 crews all set to take a tilt at winning the 2018 GT4 European Series overall title, the Silver Cup title. So off the 44 cars set, well 43 cars were set. The Academy Aston Martin, you can see sitting at pit exit, will not do the formation lap. and will take the start when the others have all passed pit exit. It'll be a rolling start. Certainly yesterday it was quite a quick flick of the lights that caught out the front row starters. They got absolutely swamped and then fought their way back up the order. So the track looked wide, but good thing the track is dry, no puddles on corners, no damp patches from any rain overnight. It was a slightly cloudy night, so it meant it wasn't too cold here in the Eiffel Forest. We're up at altitude of about 600 metres, and that certainly can bring its own weather formation. And racing goes on here deep into October, but seldom beyond. And those last races of the season for various championships here at the Nürburgring can often be weather affected. In fact, on Thursday here at the circuit, if they wanted to put cars on the track, they couldn't. Fog was hanging around all day. We've been lucky this weekend. Friday was dry, Saturday was even better, and today looks to be the pick of the pack. But at the moment for the drivers, it's all about focusing on this, their 12th and final race of the 2018 GT4 European Series, and we've got 3 crews gunning for glory in the overall title. In the Pro-Am battle, it's Jules Simkowiak's teammate who has the flying chance, Marcus Lundstrass. But let's take a look at the grid. Ricardo van der Ende will be starting the Equipe Vauxhall McLaren from pole position. Alongside him, he has the challenge of the RN Vision, Gabriele Piana, pedalled BMW. Moller Madsen and Doncha, look out for that car number 5 starting 5th on the grid. They're the outside chance for the overall title. We'll have to go back a few rows until we get to the next challenger there. 9th on the grid, the number 1 BMW from MDM Motorsport. That is the other title challenger, along with the crew that are a few places further back. Keep going further back. We have to go a couple more rows yet until we get to 17th place on the grid, where we will have the HHC Motorsport Ginetta. Just going through your shot, white and pale blue. Stuart Middleton will kick off in that and see how high he can advance. So he's almost down towards the middle of this grid. He's 17th, in fact he's a third of the way down the grid. We've got 44 cars coming out to play. Jordan Groger came into the championship in V8 Racing Camaro this weekend and already has started making a splash. So the South African really enjoying his transition. He's raced GTs quite a lot. He tried historic Formula 1 and now he's got his teeth into this one as well. Few new crews. Jack Motors, one of them there in 27th on the grid. I think we have 4 new crews this weekend, including the rumbling Ford Mustang from Motorsport 98, Eric de Donker. He had a little penalty, so he's been put back towards the rear of the grid, but he certainly made a great sound with his car yesterday, as do the Chevrolet Camaros. They come down the start-finish straight. It's not as though the rumble of the Celislaw Racing Team Mercedes it's not too bad either. So all sights, shapes, sounds down this grid. Final few rows just being announced. We go all the way down to 44 cars. Louis-Philippe Soden pushed back a little bit with the penalty, likewise alongside de Donker. And one of the 2 Orlando Sport horses on the back row with Gottfried Pilz and Horst Feldmann Jr. They too have been put to the back. So 3 of the quick sort of midfield cars starting at the back, they would advance. But the big question is who is going to get the start right? Will it be Ricardo van der Ende on the left side as the field approaches us, or the right-hand side from the driver's point of view? Beautiful weather. The Eiffel Forest stretched beyond. These cars need to come around in 2x2 formation. 43 of them on the track. The Academy Motorsport Aston Martin waiting to make it start from the pit lane. So this field needs to be close, or some of them won't be round the final corner before the lights of the starting gantry swing out. Gabriele Piana, the young Italian, on the side closer to our cameras here in the MDM RN Vision BMW, the McLaren over on the pit wall side. Ricardo van der Ende, he's had many a rolling start in his career. Looking at the red lights on the gantry, still red, can't see them, just waiting for the start to trigger, and off they go. It looks like it's a really good start from the McLaren. So yes, the Dutchman takes the lead. Gabriele Piana moves across to tuck in behind him. Looks like Reinhard Koffler's on the inside, but well, door rather left open. The driver making the gains is Nikolai Moller Madsen from 5th. He's coming out of the corner in 3rd place. That green and white Audi, very, very tiny move there. I don't know why the door was left open so much by Piana. That cost him. We're all clearly through the first couple of corners. Pierre-Alexandre Jean being given a push already. BMW with the black wings has spun him round. So the young Frenchman, well, nowhere to go and nowhere for those behind. I'm afraid we may be having a safety car. And I don't think there was anything that we couldn't see. Was that the number 1 that hit? We think it could have been one of the championship challengers. Oh, well, that's a disaster. With the contact down into turn 3 there. Disaster for Pierre-Alexandre Jean, who was spun round. He's just outside the championship record. You can see the Ginetta going through. That was equal on points with the number 1 BMW crew, but we think the number 1 BMW was the one that hit the Alpine and spun it round. If that was the case, it could be out of the race, out of the championship, with half a lap completed. You can see behind the number 47, Lechner Motorsport, Mercedes is sitting stricken there. Now, is there any damage to that number 1 BMW? Certainly it found a face full of the Alpine. Out front though, let's just focus on that for the second. It's still the pole starter, Ricardo van der Ende in the number 10 McLaren. All the field, cutting corners, just looking back to see the number 1 BMW trying to spot any damage. Is this it limping up slowly towards us in the middle of the shot? I fear, no, that's 37. It's one of the other cars. Right, they've slowed right down. They've picked up the signals from the marshal. Safety car coming out. So Ricardo van der Ende controls it. Out comes the safety car. Well, there's nothing they could do. They couldn't get those cars and all the debris cleared out of the exit of the Mercedes arena at turn 3. So it was inevitable. They go, and there is the number 1 BMW. It's pulled off at the side of the track, out of the championship reckoning. So we've got 2 teams rather than 3 now going for glory. You really have to feel for the MDM Motorsport crew. Max Cobalt, well, we'll take a look at the replays. He's got damage to the front left corner from the driver's point of view, and I fear that was the point at which it tipped this Alpine into a spin. Pierre-Alexandre Jean, the French teenager, climbs out. He'll be disappointed. He was 4th at the start of the, but he's more than disappointed. Leaping up and down with fury, hoping for a good result, but MDM Motorsport, just, what can you do? It was a dry stage. It was all there to play for. It was a 1-hour race, and unfortunately less than a minute into the race, the incident happened that took their challenger out of the race. The debris is going to be cleared as fast as they possibly can, and the teams will be on their radios, the drivers just warning them. For those that were at the very front of the grid, they won't have seen what happened. Okay, let's take a look at the replay of the start. It was held, the cars are coming around, and then a really good start from Ricardo van der Ende. Gabriele Piano stayed in the middle of the track, and Reinhard Koffler said thank you very much, came up the inside, so did Milan Donche. Sorry, not Milan Donche, Nikolai Monomadsen, his teammate, up to 3rd place, and then challenging for all 3 cars going for 3rd place. Oh, well, you really had to feel. I mean, the number 1 BMW not involved at all, but by the time the Alpine had spun, he was left with nowhere to go, clipped the nose of it. The Lechner Racing Mercedes number 47 in there as well. So the number 1, the driver, Max Cobalt, absolutely the innocent part in. Oh dear, you really have to feel for Simon Knapp. Tears flowing, nothing can be done. You run a perfect season, you just get yourself in the championship reckoning, and they've really been building on that through the season. They took their first win last time out at Nürburgring, but they've just been super consistent, so many podiums for them. And through absolutely no fault of his or his teammate Max Cobalt, there it was an unfortunate incident. They picked up the tail end of the accident. They are out of the championship. So championship leaders are now no longer equal championship leaders, but clear championship leaders, and that's the HHC Motorsport crew. And Stuart Middleton has risen with all that melee from 17th up to 11th place. There is the white and pale blue Ginetta, number 55. Suddenly it's come their way, and they're trying to clarify that down at HHC Motorsport, speaking to the drivers as well, speaking to the crew, doing the points permutations. But what they now need to know is that Nikolai Moller-Madsen had got up to 3rd, he's back down to 4th. He is the outside chance for the championship, 7 places ahead. That is the cut they have to aim for. Keep it in check. Should be at the front of this pack, not far ahead of the bright green and yellow Mercedes. Last one of the V8 Racing Camaros as well. Didn't see which that was behind the barriers. So championship leader now has a little bit of breathing space, has a 10-point advantage. Needs to get in the points, because at the moment, let me just have a little think about that, 12 points would be going to the car in 4th place, so it would be victory. If they stayed as they were to the finish, which they won't, clearly, 55 minutes of racing remaining, the title would go to the car in 4th place, Nikolai Moller-Madsen and his teammate Indy Donche. But that's getting ahead of ourselves, because you can be sure that Ginetta will advance. Just needs to gain a couple of positions, and then it will be all even, gain 3 positions with no further gain for this, the number 5 Audi, and the title will be theirs. But as we saw yesterday, the racing went all the way to the final few metres of the circuit. Here's the championship as it stands. Will Tregurtha, Donche and Madsen are still in there. Tregurtha and Middleton not yet in a point-scoring position. That's as they stand, as they run around the circuit at the moment. But you can feel sure that Ginetta will be gaining places, so every place gained will stretch the advantage of the race-leading crew. But what can Moller-Madsen and Donche do? Yesterday they crossed the finish line, gained a couple of positions when there were disqualifications, but that only rose them boosted them to 6th place overall. They were actually 8th on the circuit, whereas the Ginetta did get up to 4th place. So the speed is there, definitely. Still the cars being cleared. The Lechner Racing Mercedes being winched off. It's a fair deal of damage because it was a tap to the rear, spin round for the little Alpine A110. Pierre-Alexandre Jean just had to watch several cars whacking into the bonnet of his little Alpine, and one of those was the car that was in a share of the championship lead, the number 1 BMW. So really feel terribly sorry. There was an investigation for cars number 47 and 35. They're found to have done nothing wrong. On the left of your screen, it's very hard for a teenager to take in. His race is over when it was all looking strong. That was Pierre-Alexandre Jean, and you saw the white-helmeted Jacob Scherber walk in. Another look up the inside, and it's unfortunately it's Gabriele Piana in number 110 that spins around. Great avoidance from the Aston Martin in behind, and really quite a few cars have picked up damage there as they were left with that log jam around the circuit. Some of that debris was given a little bit of a run over as well. So hard, the drivers had so few options as to where to put their cars. So an unfortunate start to the race. Both the drivers are fine, 2 cars down there, but the Fury will be running high. And I'm afraid there might be questions asked about the push from what appeared to be Gabriele Piana in the number 111 BMW that made a poor start from the start. And now the drivers are, well, they're being told to keep off the circuit because of all the debris there. Some choosing to go onto the grass. Wise thing to be done. You can see they've already put the cement dust down to soak up some of the oil that necessarily was spilt, most likely from the little Alpine after that contact, front end contact, after the car was spun around. Still many shards down there that need to be brushed away off the circuit. Quite unusual to see drivers having to be flagged off onto the grass, but that's a way better option than running over. In fact, even on the grass, as they run there, you can see other shards being kicked up by the cars as they limp past. The safety car still out. We'll still have 50 minutes of racing. I don't think it'd take a great deal longer to be cleared. And now the incident between car number 111 and 35. 35 was the Alpine and 111 was Gabriele Piana's BMW, which really appeared to come in and to spin the Alpine around as they turned into the tight left at turn number 3 on the opening lap of the race. That was the trigger, one feels, and the victim was Pierre-Alexandre Jean. And the person who lost even more was Simon Knapp and his teammate Max Kobel. Max was at the wheel, had nowhere else to go, hit the front of the spun around Alpine and picked up sufficient damage to remove itself from the race. And what a day for that to happen, coming into the race equal on points in the championship lead with the HHC Motorsport Ginetta, and now really absolutely through no fault of their own. No options to where else they could go. The head-to-head contact, nose-to-nose contact with the little Alpine, and they are out of the race, out of the championship. And the results come through from the investigation. Drive-through penalty for car 111, Gabriele Piana, for causing the incident. Yes, the stewards agree with what I thought I saw, which was he spun the Alpine around. He will take the punishment, but really the punishment is far greater for the MDM Motorsport crew. Simon Knapp and Max Kobel out of the championship in the first reckoning. Fairly tidy first corner, looking at the replay. Ricardo van der Ende got through. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, number 5 Audi, went from 5th to 3rd. Gabriele Piana went a little bit backwards. He's running in 5th place at this moment. Alexandre Jean tries to dive up the inside of the Audi. Doesn't quite make it. Now, Audi's pushed the outside of the circuit, vying for 3rd place, side by side. And a good 2 car lengths back is BMW, but it just keeps coming for a gap that, well, frankly, isn't there. Tips the tail of the Alpine around, just gets by, it comes around. Julian Darras did a fantastic job to get around the outside in the Aston Martin, but nowhere left to go for those behind. And in fact, you can see a number of other cars had side-by-side contact in avoidance, including the HHC Motorsport Championship leading Ginetta. So the safety car still running around. I don't think it'll be going around for a great deal longer. But running at the pace they are, going around at 3.5 minutes, it does give a fair amount of time for the marshals, as long as this field stays bunched up, to clear the debris on the circuit. So wave yellow flags around the circuit. Out of turn 1 into turn 2, they go up, rise in turn 2, then they drop down to turn 3. It's out of turn 3 they will find the debris, or hopefully in this case not. Car number 97, fairly new to the championship, joined quite late in the season, the Leicester Racing BMW. Now it looks yes, you can drive on the circuit. They've got a lot of dust down, but let's hope they've removed all the shards we saw last time around. Field having to literally come to a halt. So that's one of the Phoenix Racing cars. That's York V-Barn, who's starting the bright yellow number 6, running in the Pro-Am class with John-Louis Jasper. So this will make the lap time behind the safety car all the longer. We really need to get the field bunched up again before they can be released, because at the moment it's stretching out behind the safety car, which really isn't very fair for those at the tail of the field. They would lose a lot of ground if the safety car releases those in the front and they have to play catch up. Now it looks as though the procedure is starting to speed up a little bit. They've seen the track is clear and they can get on with their business. Can't wait to get the racing underway again. It was absolutely fantastic yesterday. The track is in perfect condition. It does seem it's all clear now down on the exit of turn 3. So looking forward to everybody getting out and about their business. There really was some sensational racing yesterday, must be said, right the way to the finish. Quite a lot of the crews put their pro driver, their superior driver, in second yesterday, and it does change the feature of the race. If you've got two drivers who are very evenly balanced, it means when you get the sort of less experienced driver up against you, you can really make hay while the sun shines, really make progress at their expense in the nicest way possible, of course. So this wonderful mix of cars, mix of liveries, mix of drivers, just champing a bit, waiting to get going, still waiting for signal, but sign that we're going to have the safety car coming in very soon. Looking forward to the racing starting. I think we've got everything off the track. So, just to run down the order behind the safety car, it's the McLaren at the front. It's Ricardo van der Ende driving for Keeper Shaw in that number 10. Still, well, more and more dust you can put down. As you can see, still a little bit of debris being blown off the circuit by the leaf blower. Reinhard Koffler in second place in the KTM. Gabriele Piana, but he's got a drive-through penalty. He's third, so they'll have to serve that drive-through. Well, the team can choose, but they've only got a number of laps on which they can do it. That will elevate Nikolai Moller-Madsen, the number 5 championship challenging Audi, up to third place. Mark Basseng, he's leading the Pro-Am class, but he's only 2 places ahead of Julian Darras. Between them they've got Gilles Bagnus. So what we will have, of course, when 111 does that drive-through, that will add some more points. The Donche Madsen thing, bringing them up to just 1 point behind. They've gained 3 extra points by going up a position. They'll be 1 point behind Chequered and Middleton. Let's keep an eye on those points through the race. Don't forget we've got the driver change coming up somewhere between 25 and 35 minutes into this race. It's a 1-hour race. We've had 2 points, be 2 points behind, of course, just to take my shoes and socks off, and that would, of course, elevate Chequered and Middleton to 1 point for 10th. They're running 11th at the moment. No, it's always complicated to work out these points, and let's keep on top of them through the course of the race. 25 points for a victory, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. If you can keep up, I can't. Down to 10th place overall. So the top 3, the BMW just going through your shot is the one that has a drive-through penalty to serve. What is going to unfurl? We should have 3/4 of an hour of racing. Look, no marshals around the area. They've got enough cement dust down. Waiting for a signal to come onto the street. We really need the field to bunch up a little bit more. It's the ones at the tail who could lose out, because of course behind a safety car things can concertina in a negative way if someone is a little backing off the car in front of them. So white and pale blue seems to be the colour of choice this weekend. Certainly the Keeper Shaw McLaren 570S, driven by Ricardo van der Ende at the front of the field, bears that colour scheme, and a few cars, about 10 cars further back, Stuart Middleton, the HHC Motorsport Giulietta. So there's the signal that we're looking for. Safety car in at the end of this lap. It's a job of all the drivers to get as close as they can to the car in front. Do not lose out. There is the championship leader in the middle of the pack. Well, not in the middle, he's 11th, and we've got about 44 cars running. 42 cars running, because we've lost the MDM Motorsport, the championship equal leader when we came into this morning's race. I feel really, really sorry for Simon Knapp and Max Coble. Not their fault, taken out. Always the danger if you haven't qualified incredibly well. They weren't that far back, they're only on the 5th row. But someone else's accident is their misfortune. At the restart, look to see. Well, I don't suppose we're going to have a dive into the pits. We probably have to do another lap for Gabriele Piana. comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. Now, looking forward from YouTuber Felix von der Laden's McLaren for Team GT, getting quicker and quicker and absolutely loving his transition to racing, certainly bringing more fans into the championship. So now the field coming down out of turn 12 to the right-hand kink at turn 13. The drivers have done exactly as they're supposed to. They're getting as close as they can to each other. Jules Magnus in 6th place needs to just close the gap a little bit. The safety car will peel off. There's the championship. Clear leader now, but in 11th place, not yet in the points. The 55 HHC Motorsport. Ginetta down in 11th place overall. Will Tregertha looking on. What's his teammate going to do? This is a good opportunity to try and gain a place or two, but as we can see, that comes with risk as well. The overtaking manoeuvre has its own merits, time, place. Not looking as though he's going to drop the hammer just yet, but it's gameplay from Ricardo van der Ende. I'm just walking on tyres. No, I'm not. I'm flooring the throttle. So he's well, Gabriele Piana has dived in straight away to serve the drive-through penalty. I wasn't sure he was able to do that, but he has done so. Reinhard Koffler moving to the pit wall side, trying to make sure there's no slipstream available for Nikolai Moller-Madsen and the Audi. The first three making a bit of a break. Mark Basseng in 4th, Jules Magnus in 6th. Obviously, straight line speed isn't an advantage at all for Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta, so he wasn't going to gain down into turn 1, but he did have a little look for an overtaking manoeuvre. But the first three, not as they were, because of course 111 BMW has pulled in for a drive-through penalty, but Nikolai Moller-Madsen trying to take 2nd place now from Reinhard Koffler. And there's the championship leader, Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. Not quite so. I think he might have picked up one position. I can't do my counting right now because it's all going on the screen. Now the points are updated. There we are. 3 points clear at the moment. 151 playing 148. We'll keep an eye on that. Simon Knapp and Max Coburn look as though they're in the championship reckoning with 143, but they're out of the race. I'm afraid that's all their score will be. So very, very cruel form for them, it must be said. Not their fault. Out of the championship, out of the race. And for Hutchinson and van der Ende leading the race, they can't rise any higher than 4th and 5th overall, but they can take the pride. And already van der Ende showing how much pride he has as he pulls ever further clear at the front of the field. Controls the restart very well indeed. There's a couple of BMWs really getting out to play. Just by Bajtskovica, Pavel Lefterov. There comes Jules Simkowiak, who's now up to 3rd. He's actually in 4th place in the Pro-Am class, being harried very, very hard indeed out of turn 12. That was a corner where Stuart Middleton went around the outside to take 4th place yesterday afternoon. You don't see other people overtaking there, but the Ginetta just so handy around the twisty stuff, but definitely loses out every time they get to a straight. So how's this little battle going to shape out? I think a lot of patience is required at this stage. Pit window opens in just over 5 minutes time. Oh, wait for no further chances, and Simkowiak actually very gentlemanly seated position. He's not fighting against Middleton. He's fighting for Pro-Am honours. Middleton is fighting for overall points. So the Ginetta goes through, and already the drivers, that's Milan Donci starting to suit up. So it looks like he's going to do a longer stint than Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Madsen, though, very, very busy at the moment. Again, you can see the Ginetta's lack of straight line speed, having passed the red and black Racing One Audi. It almost managed to get it again by the end of the start-finish straight, but you get to twisty stuff, and this is where the Ginetta really, really makes its mark. So leading the way by just over 2 seconds at the end of that first flying lap after the restart. Ricardo van der Ende 2 seconds clear, then just 0.4 of a second back to Nikolai Moller-Madsen in 3rd place. As you can see, the field really, really close in behind. 2, sometimes even almost 3 abreast as they go out of turn 4 down to turn 5 as the track starts dropping down to the hairpin, the lowest point of the circuit. Now here's the passing manoeuvre. It wasn't so much leaving the door open, it was just simply that Middleton was coming through and his car could turn in much, much more sharply than the Audi. That is Will Tregertha helmeting up. He's naturally just marginally quicker than Stuart Middleton. Middleton, though, drove a sensational race yesterday afternoon. But Chequered is clearly they're going to bring that car in as soon as they possibly can by those things to give Chequered the run to the finish. Pit window opens in 4 minutes' time. So race order is still Ricardo van der Ende leading by 2 seconds, Reinhard Koffler's KTM second, Nikolai Moller-Madsen in his Audi is third, leading the way in the Pro-Am class, Mark Basseng in his Porsche Cayman in fourth. Fifth place, Gilles Magnus really making a splash on his GT4 debut. Julian Darras going very well indeed in his Aston Martin in sixth place. There is the Aston Martin. In behind is Beitske Vissa, yesterday's race winner, sharing with Nico Menzel, and she's got right under her tail Pavel Lefterov. Stuart Middleton is now up to 9th, looking if any further place gains. No, he's got to advance onto Lefterov's tail. Lefterov is the second of the BMWs behind that Aston Martin. Aston Martin with Darras on board, not giving it any gap in the door. And we've got, it looked like Mark Basseng coming into the pits, certainly one of the Porsche Caymans. Whichever one it was. No, I don't think it was Basseng. It was one a little further down the order, but that will scupper its chances. It's not a regular pit stop. That's a pit stop for a problem or someone serving a drive-through penalty. And I'm afraid we have more contacts, more cars going around, but, well, when you've hit once, hit twice, so that's out of the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, and the Porsche delayed. Oh, now it's all really kicking off. Number 3, Audi, tipped into a spin. That was Cedric Freiberghaus going around. The 76 Porsche has gone off after a further hit by those things. Alessandro Giovanelli, and he's got the 2 blues on the Felbermeyer Proton, Felbermeyer Reiter. Gottfried Pilz-driven KTM that started at the back of the grid. That was making its way up the order. Good to see the 76 Porsche back running all over again, but it seems there was a fair bit of what we like to call shenanigans out there. But unfortunately, a big loser there was the number 3 Audi. So Gozia Rodest, the Polish racer, will not get her run today because her teammate Cedric Freiberghaus has pulled that off the side of the circuit. The car is injured. Second and third, Koffler in the KTM. Third is Nikolai Moller-Madsen, challenging for championship honours, doing everything he can to squeak every point he can out of this race, knowing that several places further back, in fact six places further back, is Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. Now let's take a look at what's going on here. Look for the orange-nosed BMW coming down, deciding at the last minute to dive up the inside, but couldn't turn further across because the number 6 Audi was looking there for Phoenix Racing, as a consequence clattered the side of the 76 Porsche. Now what happened beyond here? This is what I want to see. Oh, I'll have you, I'll bounce into your side. Off they go, all looks okay. Then Gottfried Pilz is squeezed in the blue KTM, spins around one of the Allied Racing Caymans, and along with the 76 Porsche goes to the side. And that was not Pilz's fault. He was left absolutely the meat in a sandwich, and I would say very unfortunate that the 71 BMW, Paolo Meloni, W&D Racing Team, changed his line and found he couldn't go any further to keep out of the way. Number 3 Audi minding his own business. It was a real game of consequences there. I'd say about 4 different incidents, and the number 3 Audi was the one that lost out the most. So the battle for second still tight. They're now 4 and a bit seconds down on the race leader, but there's a bit of a gap now opening out between Reinhard Koffler in that number 22 KTM and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who's keeping him safe, keeping him honest, but not yet challenging him. Has dropped back a little bit. Again, you can see that Stuart Middleton still in 9th place, can't keep up with Pavel Lefterov. He's 2 and a bit seconds down, and the gap is not closing. He hasn't managed to shake off Jules Simkowiak in the Racing 1 Audi. Pit window will be open very soon indeed. And the incident between car number 71 and 76 at turn 1 under investigation. Well, there's not too much of a surprise there. 2 cars we saw, the BMW from W&D Racing and one of the 2 Autolando Sport Porsche 911s. Oh, Nikolai Moller-Madsen really kicking up the dust at the Schumacher S. Is on the rise up from turn 8, the hairpin at the lowest point on the track. And gradually you'll see through the race that it gets more and more gravel kicked across to the left-hand side of the circuit, and that could catch drivers out. It's certainly there. She saw a few drivers having a wobble on it as the race progressed yesterday. After the race, of course, it'll all be swept off all over again. Mark Basseng, there he is. The number 13 Schrader Motorsport Porsche Cayman, driving very, very well indeed, but no disrespect to his teammate, but once Philippe Bethke gets on board, the pace will drop away. But now we really have a serious challenge for second place. Pit window open, we'll see who dives in early. It might be the Ginetta that comes in. It's running 9th. We'll look to see if that flashes into the pit lane, but certainly the first 4, 5, 6, 7 cars have not gone to the pits. I think one of the BMWs might have done. No, in fact, what we've had is we lost the Gilles Magnus car. Has that dived into the pits? Yes, it has. The green and yellow car. Baz Schuten will be given a good run in that, and the Celestar Racing team blinks first. And then the Phoenix Racing Audi, the bright yellow car, the Ottosan Motorsport BMW likewise dives the pits early on, because Ali Turkan will take that over from Geddes, and he certainly goes very well indeed. The door's left slightly open. Well, I suppose it's left open if the driver behind decides to go on the grass, and that's exactly what Nikolai Moller-Madsen did out of turn 3. But by the time the exit turn 4, it's still the KTM in front in the second place. Basseng coming along behind in fourth. Fifth place, tucked under his rear wing, is yesterday's winner, Bite Skavissa. Then comes Julian Darras, a great run for him in the Vantage. He's got plenty of company. Pavel left her off, then up now to 8th place overall, but owes us a pit stop. Stuart Middleton in the championship leading, 55 Ginetta. Nice calm pit stop down at Phoenix Racing. That will be Jörg Wiebahn handing over to John Louis Jasper. Zet Brahms coming in the background, one of the Allied Racing Porsches likewise that came in. I didn't see if it was Jan Kasperlik or Nicholas Schurl coming in 43 or 42. Doesn't matter though. Now what has happened on this lap though after that challenge is that a gap has opened out between, it was only a third of a second, in fact slightly less, between the number 5 Audi in third place and Reinhard Koffler's KTM, and as they go through turn 12 you can see it's more like a second and a bit. So just a lap ago Nikolai Moller-Madsen was all over the KTM, so clearly one of his moves has cost him a little bit of momentum. Here is our race leader, Ricardo van der Ende. No pit stop for him as yet. He's going to keep Finlay Hutchinson waiting in the pit lane, but when you've got a good lead and you can build on it, that's precisely what you should do. Bates Gavissa dives in from 5th place. Yesterday's winner, we handed over to Nico Menzel. And now we're starting to see, I think, a little bit more pace from Stuart Middleton. Of course, the race can be complicated by other cars coming out into the mix. They've made their pit stops, they were further down the order, but they can slot in into this top 10 grouping and cause their own little bit of mischief. 112 is Pavel left her off there, pushing Julian Darras, and there is the unfortunate number 24. KTM started from the back row of the grid for an irregularity. If I find all the bits of paper I can tell you what it was, but Horst Felbermeyer Jr. didn't get to race day, just Gottfried Pilz. A pit lane infringement, adding air to the tyres in the working lane was the punishment, but half of the grid had been made up by Gottfried Pilz, but unfortunately he got pincered and spat out of the race. Mark Basseng in the Porsche Cayman is much closer now to Nikolai Moller-Madsen, but as I say that, on the last lap, the final sector of the lap, Moller-Madsen set the fastest final sector of anyone, so it's seesawing up and down, but Basseng took 9/10 of a second out of him, so the problem was, yeah, the middle part of the lap for Moller-Madsen in that number 5 Phoenix Racing Audi. So I think Milan Donci getting ready to take over from Moller-Madsen, taller Dutchman. Dust kicked up in the background, more and more drivers going wide through the Schumacher S. We're having in the lead of the race Ricardo van der Ende leading by 5 seconds now from Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who's 1.2 seconds clear. Looking back, lights flashing, there's the second place KTM, he's in behind the Turkish BMW, the one with the bright blue livery. Doesn't want to be delayed, because he might be trying to drive a long first in, which means he's got another 5 minutes before he has to enter the pit lane. Traffic not helping. Well, luckily, the Ottosan car is coming in for a second time. He's already made its pit stop, so I don't know if he's got a puncture, but I'll tell you what, if I look at my screen, we have, I can't count that many, let's call it 15 cars have been given drive-through penalties, and I think a lot of them for overtaking under the safety car, which drivers ought to know by now is the ultimate no-no. Just trying to see if any of those numbers correspond with drivers of front-running cars. I'm not so sure they do. Well, there's the other Ginetta, sorry, Alpine. They used to run Ginetta CMR. That's the Eric Mouet-driven car, sharing with David Loget. The team crossed over in time for the round at Spa-Francorchamps. They raced them as well at the Hungaroring. Pretty little cars. So Ricardo van der Ende, 4.8 seconds clear now. A little bit of traffic delayed him somewhat. Reinhard Koffler, here comes Koffler. He's behind the bright yellow Phoenix Racing Audi. Suddenly, through all of that, Nikolai Moller-Madsen's made it all up. He was nearly 2 seconds down at the start of the lap, and he's about 2 meters down now as they sweep through the midpoint on the circuit. pit lane, still very busy, still waiting to see if Stuart Middleton comes in. He's risen up to 7th place, which will give him 6 points. Moller Madsen will get 15 if they finish as they are. That will put Moller Madsen 1 point down on the championship and give the Ginetta crew the overall gong, the gold medal, if you will, for 2018. That is the sister car of the one that was equal in the championship lead but taken out on the first lap, the number 1 car out on the first lap. That's Mark van der Aar handing over to Koen Bogaerts in the other of the MDM Motorsport BMWs. Well, keep out of the way, get out of the way. There was nowhere else that the driver, which was Jean-Louis Jasper, could go in his Audi out of turn 12. But here comes the challenge around the outside, and therefore be on the inside for the chicane, up to 2nd place. That was an essential move, and it came in a really, really difficult location for Nicolai Moller Madsen. Reinhard Koffler wasn't really expected, and then really realised he was compromised by the positioning of the yellow Audi. It slightly came off the power, perhaps just to adjust himself, and Nicolai Moller Madsen just grabbed the moment. But the leader is in the pits. Ricardo van der Ende has come in, and he'll take that McLaren down to the far end of the pit lane, hand over to his teammate who did such a good job in the first part of the race yesterday, Finlay Hutchinson, the racer from Scotland. So this should all be fairly steady. They've got that 5-second or so advantage. Car 98, message on screen, overtaking under the safety car. Well, he can only blame himself. He's the only driver in that car, Eric de Donker. Julian Darras in the Aston Martin into the pit lane as well, and the Ginetta likewise. You can see he's closer to pit exit. He'll pull over and hand over to Will Tregurtha. And actually closing right up on him was a Racing 1 Audi that is tilting, is leading the Pro-Am class honours. A quick look all underneath the car. Do they feel he's run over? Well, there was a clatter, don't forget, on the opening lap. Another car drove into him as they tried to avoid the melee down out between turns 3 and turn 4. But one driver out, which is Stuart Middleton. He's helping to strap Will Tregurtha in. Is this going to be a run in this next under half an hour now to the 2018 GT4 European Series title, or will it go the way of Indy Dontje and Moller Madsen, his teammate? We will see. So it's a battle between the Ginetta and the Audi from Racing 1. Nicolai Moller Madsen handing that over to Milan Dontje, but just not yet, because Moller Madsen's had a really, really good lap. Overtaking Reinhard Koffler to go to what was 2nd position, but immediately he took that thing. The McLaren came into the pits from the lead ahead of it. We just saw it going back out onto the circuit. Car number 222, Nicky Leutwiler, just being pinged for speeding in the pit lane. These are silly, silly things to do, but you can understand the heat of the battle. It can happen if you're not paying attention. Now, it seems to me that's the Racing 1 Audi getting underway. It's been a very, very slow pit stop for the Ginetta. The Audi came in behind. It was behind on the circuit, and it's gone out about 3 seconds in front of it. Oh, that could be a real title swing if it did prove to be a slow pit stop. Some of the cars coming in, including, I think that's Mark Bassing, almost clipping the pit wall. Pit window only open for another handful of seconds, and all the front runners have made their pit stops as far as I can ascertain. Pavel Lefteroff, I think, was the last one to come in there. Stuart Middleton, he worked hard there. Gained a couple of positions. Will Tregurtha, who's just taken over, pointed out that the Ginetta goes better and better as the race goes on relative to its rivals. So, Milan Dontje running out to take over from Nicolai Moller Madsen, who looked safe in 3rd position, wanted 2nd, didn't have the speed to do it, or so it seemed, and then a lap or so before coming in, perhaps because the Phoenix Racing Audi couldn't get out of the way, he got the jump on Reinhard Koffler, who was running 2nd in the little KTM, and moved up into 2nd place. If this is a tidy pit stop, well, the real thing is how quick is it relative to the pace, not so much of this car. Finlay Hutchinson, who will be the race leader when they've all had their pit stops, surely, but it's where it is relative to the HHC Motorsport Ginetta. Door closed. Up to you now, Milan. Where will that pull out? Waiting for it to be pushed back into the fast lane of the pits as out of the chicane. Doesn't want to be blocked by the silver Mercedes. Is the door left open? No, it isn't. That is really unfortunate. I'm afraid the driver of 32, Louis-Philippe Sonnen, wasn't really looking. That's compromised the race leading McLaren. Will it still be the race leader by the time the Audi gets its wheels pointing the right way and out of the pits? Well, yes, it will, no problem at all there. Back into the race lead, having got past Louis-Philippe Sonnen, out into, will it be 2nd place? Well, it is second place because Reinhard Koffler came in on the same lap, and the 22 car now in the hands, the KTM being passed across to Ferdinand Stuck. There they are. And actually advantage stretched for the Audi crew from Phoenix Racing. Phoenix Racing don't have far to come to this race, don't have far to go home to celebrate. Their team headquarters just outside the circuit at Moispout, a kilometre away. Moller Madsen being given encouragement, and fittingly after half an hour of hard racing in what's an increasingly warm day, a bottle of water. So there's the car he was driving, the number 5 Audi. Tucked in behind is the car that won yesterday. Beitske-Visser's handed that to Nico Menzel. Bassain's car in the hands of Philip Bethke. That will probably go backwards. He's got pressure from behind. Gilles Magnus has handed over to Bas Schuten. The Dutch racer is now really putting pressure on Julian Darris's car. Now the Aston Martin driven by Pascal Bachmann seems to have gone back a little bit. Then comes the Racing One car with Marcus Lundstrass at the wheel, and it's gained about 4 seconds and at least 1 position on the HHC Motorsport Ginetta. Here it is, it's looking for glory, and for the next 23 minutes or so, that is what the driver is going for, Will Tregertha. But just take a little look at the car. The windscreen is all steamed up. They looked under the car. Oh my golly, that is not a car you want to go out and play in. You don't want to open the windows because you'll lose all sorts of performance, but it's almost like there's exhaust damage that's feeding into the cockpit. Oh. So suddenly this championship looks though it's already swung away from the number 1 MGM Motorsport crew, and now Will Tregertha could probably see next to nothing. So it was a pipe crimp, there was body damage on trying to avoid the first lap accident, and it's possibly flaming at the back as well. Let's take a look. I thought it was just a little bit on the overrun. Yeah, you can see flashes of flame under that car. They've got to get the message to the driver. It's got to be pulled to the side of the circuit or pulled back into the pit lane so they can sort it out. So with 20 odd minutes to run, Stuart Middleton can't bear. Look at it. Look, you can see the flame under the left-hand bank of exhaust. And that's not just the exhaust flaming now. That is the bodywork and the flames coming, the smoke coming into the car. This is cruel, cruel form of Phoenix Racing. They'll be looking at the screens and they'll just be crossing their fingers, diving into the pit. It's absolutely the right thing to do for Will Tregertha, but I'm afraid, is this a championship hope going up in flames? I fear it is. You can see the side of the car is already starting to bubble with the heat coming out from those flames, smoking away. Oh dear, the BMW going slowly in front, as it should be. It's going into the pit lane. And as the Ginetta goes ever slower up the pit lane, the driver's going to bail out. Well, he's not going to bail out, he's going to roll out. He's trying to open the door to get some air. And the crew he's got to the first point for the marshals. The marshals have to get there as quickly as they can. That car is engulfed now in flames, well, smoke at the moment, but they've got to get there. The marshal comes across with the fire extinguishers. Well done indeed, but wise move there from Will Tregertha. Hoped he could get it in somewhere where they could sort it out. Maybe could have pulled to pit side. It's right opposite my commentary box. I'll take my eye off the screen for a second to see what's going on. A lot of extinguishment being put on. Will is out of the car, trying to marshal the marshals, but there you can see the amount of smoke. That's over and out for them. The flames are put out. Well done to the marshalling crews. All eyes now back onto the circuit, because now the champions, unless something untoward happens to their car, is the Phoenix Racing crew. There they are. Milan Donci at the wheel. He's running around in second place. He's got lots of pressure from behind because the 22 car with Stuck is pressing very, very hard indeed. In fact, he's lost position. He's now third on the track. It doesn't matter, but well, it's good to see Pierre-Alexandre Jean. He had his hopes for this championship. It didn't happen for him. Just going up to commiserate there with Will Tregertha. And now, how close would you like it to be? What we've got is suddenly a really tight little battle. Third, fourth and fifth. Milan Donci, he's been overtaken on this lap already by number 110. Up to second place goes the 110 BMW. Place changes. Bas Schuten, the 31 Salazar Racing Mercedes, really on a charge. He just pushed Ferdinand Stuck down a position. So third, fourth and fifth. Finley Hutchinson leads in the number 10 McLaren. Second place is now Nico Menzel. What a weekend they are having. And there they are, nearly 10 seconds apart. There is Menzel with the black flashes on the back part of his bonnet. Then third, fourth and fifth, covered by a very small blanket. Milan Donci. Bas Schuten, who's looking really very, very positive and fighty at the moment in that 31 Mercedes. And Ferdinand Stuck, who drove so well yesterday to finish third with Reinhard Koffler, is back to fifth place. There's a tiny bit of a gap. In fact, it's actually just trying to see who's going to be next through. It should be Philip Bethke, but his lap pace isn't a match for those ahead, so they're dropping back. So the first five clear of the rest. We're clear of everyone. It's Finley Hutchinson. Second place yesterday with his teammate Ricardo van der Ende, but that was up from 14th on the grid. And there in second place. About 10 seconds down is Nico Menzel. Then third, fourth and fifth is Doncher, Schouten, two Dutch racers together. And at the back, Ferdinand Stuck, but he's hanging in there. Three makes of car, how typical of GT4. Manufacturers all have a really serious tilt. Then I saw a flash of Philipp Bethke, who is the leading Pro-Am runner in the number 13, the Schrader Motorsport Porsche Cayman. Yeah, just a replay, and we commented when the car came in, the mechanics got down and looked at that side of the car. There had been a little bit of contact, we think, and clearly Stuart Middleton had reported something. Yeah, you can see a wheel mark across the side. He was sent out on his way. All seemed to be okay, but early on his outlet, it looked as though there was steam coming up inside the cockpit, or smoke inside the cockpit, and then you could see flames under the car. There's a bit of puff of smoke there out the side. It might just be well, we'll see. But anyhow, we know what it came to. Within a lap, the car was back into the pit lane, and it's still smoking away at pit entry, right under race control. So yes, there was concern, and unfortunately it manifested itself in a way that nobody wants to see. That no one was injured, but you don't want a championship challenge to go up in smoke. So there it is, the Silver Cup, the overall title will be going to Milan Donche and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. They're third at the moment. You see plenty of company, Bas Schouten tucked in behind, and Ferdinand Stuck as well. So barring disasters, they are the champions. Will Tregurtha and Stuart Middleton started today equal on points, and with Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt, they will end equal on points, but sadly for them, not fighting for victory, they will remain second and third overall. But suddenly, fewer points going the way of Doncher and Moller-Madsen. They're not in third anymore, they're fourth, so they've got 3 points fewer to their tally. So suddenly the others are not yet out of the reckoning in this bizarre way. So Ferdinand Stuck goes past as well. Suddenly they won't be scoring 15 points or 12, they'll be scoring 10. So this battle is still seesawing. It's far from finished, but the good news for Milan Donchi and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who can't bear to watch, is the fact that nobody is close behind in sixth place. There's a 6-second gap back to Philipp Bethke. No one else is likely to challenge them for points from the Silver Cup class, because the Silver Cup class, the next challenger there is that really char-grilled championship challenge, the 55 Ginetta, over and out. And luckily the fire is as well, it's just a bit of vestigial smoke. So we'll keep an eye on the points at the very end of this race. But a point I just started a while ago, the next Silver Cup challenger is Ravzan Mumbarescu, but he's down in 10th overall, and he's about another 25 seconds behind. So that is good news for the Phoenix Racing crew. And just looking back, Phoenix Racing crew, at least if it comes equal on scores, they know they've got 3 wins, which stands them in very good reckoning, even if they finish equal on points, because that's one of the biggest tallies of the season. Ferdinand Stuck, had a little look, was it going to work? He's unsettling. Indy Donchi is having to work very hard. Has it come through turn 12? Not likely to be removed by someone flashing the headlights, but Stuck using all the tricks in the book. And having overtaken the Dutchman, the other Dutchman, Bas Schouten, pulling clear for the Celestar Racing team, and that will be a really, really good boost to them, because they've run 3 cars through the course of the season, but top results have largely eluded them. Sam de Jong took a 4th place early in the season, but since then it's been Bas Schouten scored a 4th place with Ward Sluis earlier in the year, but good to see them back towards the front. The cars look magnificent. Where is the next attack going to come from? Ferdinand Stuck in the nimble KTM crossbow, so good through the corners. But let's go down to the pit lane, because Dakota has been very busy, and she's caught a driver who necessarily will be very sad. His championship hopes up in smoke. Stuart Middleton.
Stuart, super unfortunate to see your car behind us. What exactly happened there?
Well, basically, I took a hit in the rear left at the start of the race, and I think the sill ended up touching the exhaust, so I believe just part of the bodywork caught fire in the exhaust. So yeah, there's not much we could have done. Never had an issue with fire before, so yeah, just one of them things, you know, really unfortunate. But thankfully, the main thing is Will's okay, so yeah, that's the main thing.
So we've just seen Will get taken off to the medical centre for standard checks, but he's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, he says he's okay. I just seen him there, and yeah, he's absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, we're a bit shaken up by it, you know. It's not really something we're quite used to, but yeah, it's, as I say, one of them things in racing, and yeah, we'll get over it.
So you could still win win if the Audi, depending where the Audi finishes.
Yeah, that's true. So, you know, it isn't over till it's over. So yeah, you know, we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
You really have to feel for him, and looking at the replay, the Audi has just lost another position. Mathematicians, that puts the Audi heading for a tally of, let me think, 10 points. Now it's down in 5th place, which put them equal on points with Knapp and Cobalt out of the race and Middleton and Goethe out of the race, but they have 3 wins to their name. Let me look at my results chart. How many wins? We're going to have to go counting back. Has the Ginetta crew got 1, 2? So you've got 2 wins. And the MDM Motorsport crew have 1 win. So as it stands, they could end all equal on the same tally of 143 points apiece. And yet victory would go to the Phoenix Racing Audi crew. And I must say, just having looked at the replay, there's a certain irony. The car that clattered into the side of the Ginetta, and no blame can be apportioned because it was in the middle of a melee of cars trying to get out of the way of that collision out of turn 3, was a Phoenix Racing Audi. And this is the number 5 Phoenix Racing Audi, but it's number 3 car, Cedric Freiberghaus, who then went out of the race further right in with its own injury from another contact. But no blame can be apportioned. It wasn't really a case of just trying to avoid the incident. Gabriele Piana had no idea how much he was affecting the championship because he didn't take out one, but both of the teams effectively in time were fighting for the overall honours. Last warning car 75 drive-through penalty, otherwise a black flag. That's not affecting the overall order. The driver on board that is Dario Girardi. It's one of the 2 Orlando Sport Porsches. So Ferdinand Stuck, look at him now in the 22 KTM Crossbow, 12 and a bit minutes remaining. He finished 3rd yesterday with Reinhard Koffler. So as it stands, 3 crews on 143 points apiece, but Donchi and Moller Madsen with 3 wins to their name at the moment will come out on top of Tregoethe and Middleton, who have 2, and Knapp and Cobalt, who are out on the opening lap of the race, who only took 1. Wow, how many championships might ever end with 3 crews all on the same championship tally? That is how close the GT4 European Series is, and you really have to feel for the other few crews. And for Nikolai Moller-Madsen, he's going to be a long 12 minutes. He's still smiling because the next car that can challenge him for points is some distance back, Ravzan Borescu, for Silver Cup honours. And Ravzan's down in 10th place, whereas Milan Donche is now running in 5th. Between there are 4 runners in the Pro-Am class. Philippe Bethke leading the way from Markus Lundstrass, who is set for the title in his Racing 1 Audi, the number 77 car. 7th on the track for 77, but possibly 1st on his championship tally when it comes to the end of the day. Jules Simkowiak started that. All right, the yellow and green car, that's Baz Schuten behind the Mercedes, dropping back a little bit, Ferdinand Stuck. Then Milan Donche in 5th place, and there's a gap of about half a dozen seconds. And there comes Philippe Bethke. He's got plenty of company because Markus Lundstrass, the Racing 1 Audi, driver who's potentially going to win the Pro-Am title, is coming down, lights ablaze down the start-finish straight. 10 and a bit minutes remaining. Trying to hang on in the background. Trying to see who's behind 77. It's 112, which is Portuguese racer Miguel Cristoval down into turn 1. C75 Porsche just emerging from the pit lane, has served that drive-through penalty after the last warning. So just in case it's all been getting a bit confusing, if we finish as we are with Milan Donche and Nikolai Moller-Madsen finishing 5th, they will pick up 10 points. That will move them to 143 points, which is exactly the same tally as the 2 crews that came here ahead of them on points, which is the number 1 Simon Knapp Max Cobalt BMW, which has 1 win. That will put it 3rd in the championship if they all stay level on points. The HHC Motorsport Ginetta has 2 wins. Because of that number of wins, they will go into 2nd place. But with 3 wins to their name, doesn't matter what happens today, as long as they stay in 5th place, don't drop any further back. This car, the number 5 Audi crew, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and the driver at the wheel at the moment, Indy Doncher, will be the 2018 overall champions in the GT4 European Series. They've worked hard. Phoenix Racing will be very, very excited indeed through these closing laps. But of course, the driver, Indy Doncher, will be listening out for anything that feels even slightly untoward. And luckily for him, this grouping of cars fighting behind him, they're going for Pro-Am honours on the day. Philippe Bethke and Markus Lundstrass, but they are some distance behind him. The gap is 7.5 seconds. Not close enough really to make those up in the remaining 9 minutes. It's all about the car not braking for Milan Donche. It's about him not sliding off into a gravel trap. He won't do that, he's too good for that, but it really is looking as though they are almost home and hosed, but 9 or so minutes remain. There's the gap. Donche back to Philippe Bethke. Just see Bethke in the silver and orange Porsche Cayman, there it is, but that gap has really grown over the last lap. 7.3 seconds is now 9 points, well, let's call it 9.1 seconds. Going out all the time, but Bethke's busy in the office, if you will, because Markus Lundstrass would be loving the possibility of getting past to see if he can take the overall victory on the day for the Pro-Am class, as well as taking the overall Pro-Am title for the season. Pushing hard, pushing all the time. There it is, 177 points if they finish as they are for Markus Lundstrass. Basseng and Bethke. It's Bethke who's in front of him. First in the Pro-Am honours in the race today, but not likely to get that title because Lundstrass just has to wash all. He wants to get past to win on the day. Of course he does, but it's far better just to sit in behind and take the title. But then he's a racing driver. You're supposed to overtake. As you can see, they're quite a long way clear. Simon Moore, the Hungarian driver, is with his third team of the season, so but he's on his own now in third place overall. Oh, kicking up the dust. This battle is going to rage all the way to the finish, but I don't think it's too enormously serious because Markus Lundstrass has to know any risk he takes now, unless he takes both cars out, which will be frowned upon, the title will be his. Haven't mentioned the advantage of Finley Hutchinson for a while, leading the race, 7.5 seconds clear. He can just stroke home to make it a very, very good weekend for the Akit Vachon McLaren crew. Second yesterday and first today. Really good, solid performance from them with that 570S. This Pro-Am battle, though, it's nip and it's tuck. Mark Basseng kept the car's nose clean in the early stage of the race. He was one of the first to come across the spinning cars in front of him on that opening lap out of turn 3. Managed to avoid them, and that was absolutely crucial. I think the body language is that Markus Lundstrass has just thought about this quite seriously, and unless he's saving it for a do-or-die manoeuvre, I think he's probably just quite content to keep Bethke in his sights, not risk too much, and I hope that's not the commentator's curse being applied. So there it is, 7.5 seconds clear. Hutchinson over the BMW of Menzel. Bas Schuten another similar distance back in third place in the 31 Celeslao Racing team at Mercedes. Ferdinand Stuck, we saw him past Indy Dunchin in the last few laps. He's pulled about 5 or 7 seconds, in fact, out on him. But there, the number 5 Audi doesn't need to push. That's the gap back to the cars behind. They can't overtake him in the remaining 6.5 minutes. So he will take 5th. He will take the 10 points that go with that, will put him equal with those other two crews, the 55 Ginetta crew. But their crew has 3 wins. The Ginetta crew has 2 wins. That will put it second in the title race, in the title conclusion. But let's go down and hear from Nikolai Moller-Madsen. The minutes are counting down, but Dakota's caught him ahead of what will be a championship-winning day.
Nikolai, can you hold on to this 5th place to win the championship?
Yeah, we need to hold on this one. I mean, we have to remember we win the championship because we have most wins, because we are all on equal points if we finish 5th. So I think we deserve it. I mean, the guy's done an amazing job, and now Milan just have to drive it home, and I'm so nervous.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what does it feel like, knowing there's nothing you can do but just watch Milan?
It's the worst feeling ever. I know Milan, he's a good friend, he's a really good driver, but I would definitely prefer I was in the car, or the car was just like, or the time was finished or something. I mean, I don't like this, but yeah, I think he will do the job. He will cross the fingers and the car survive, and we finish 5th and we are champion.
Good luck, let's see.
Drivers don't like to do 2 things. They don't like to do maths, and they don't, even though Nikolai got it absolutely spot on there, they don't like to do the waiting, particularly. They want to be in control, and you can't blame them. But Milan Doncia has just settled down and just decided 5th place is all I need. I'm not being challenged by the grouping behind. There is the grouping behind, 6th and 7th, fighting hard all the way to the finish. They're in the Pro-Am race, but as long as he keeps them behind, all is fine. But look, 5 minutes left in this 1-hour race, the final 1-hour race of the 12th race season, the GT4 European Series of 2018. Suddenly looks like that's heated up all over again. Markus Lundstrass has suddenly got interested. It's not necessary. You will be the Pro-Am champion. You do not need to pass. But no one's putting that message through to him. He's wanting to do it in style. Victor in the Pro-Am class yesterday with Jules and Kvyat. May yet do so again today, but cannot afford to take any risk to do so, surely. Well, he's making a go down the start-finish straight as close as you could possibly be, using all of the slipstream he can get through the little kink before they have to turn into the corner, but a much wider line can be taken by the Audi race, which will give him a better exit. All right, out to the edge and beyond there for Philip Bethke, but he's hugging the inside line through turn 2. There may be a bit of cut underneath him for the Audi to aim at. Down the inside. Oh no, I'm not coming. It's tentative stuff there. Don't take a risk at this point, but he needed another half car length advantage if he was going to make that move down into turn 3. And of course, as we saw in the opening lap of the race, if you get it wrong in turn 3, you can cause trouble, you can take yourself out. And just to add something to the mix, we've suddenly got a bit of a charge from behind, because number 1112 with Miguel Cristobal, one of the R-Envision STS BMWs, is getting closer, just potentially to spoil their fun. And that's Ronnie Searock nearly rolling his car, getting it wrong at the Schumacher S's, driving it more like a Schumacher Y, and when he hit the gravel you can see that his Racing One Audi actually went up onto 2 wheels. At a quick flick I suddenly thought, oh no, it's a Racing One Audi, but luckily for Marcus Lundstrat, it was his teammate, not him. New to the championship this weekend for Ronnie Searock and his teammate Kevin Stroeshank. It looks so their race is run, but they'll have gained valuable experience. There is the Racing One Audi that counts, but as you can see, they've got a bit of company. There's Porsche Cayman in 6th place overall. That's Philip Bethke, harrying him as he has been. Marginally further back is Milan Donci, getting a face full of dust from the gravel trap, and Cristobal is getting closer and closer. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to make a move before the race is over. As you can see, the clock is counting down very quickly indeed towards the end of the race, or seems quickly. Out front, nearly 10 seconds clear, stroking it home is Finlay Hutchinson. Nico Menzel content in 2nd place, nothing he can do. He's got a 5-second advantage over the Mercedes of Baz Schuten. They're the first 3. Ferdinand Stuck in 4th, another 3 and a bit seconds back, and then Milan Donci 5th, exactly where he needs to be. He'll be equal on points, it'll be a tie for the championship, but he and his teammate Nikolai Moller-Madsen will take the overall title by dint of having 3 wins to their rivals' 2 and 1 win. Around the outside this time tries Milan Donci, and unfortunately that was a chance for Cristobal to really close in, but he got lured into taking the wide line as well. But in front, that was a great move. I didn't think it was going to be pulled off at all, but Lundstrat made it stick. I didn't think that was going to work at all. He managed to get past Philip Bethke. I'd like to take a look at the replay of that move to see how it manifests. It didn't look like it was going to work. He tried the outside line and somehow made it stick. Maybe too tight an inside line compromised the speed through the corner. So down the start from the straight for probably about the penultimate time. To the outside goes the Audi with Marcus Lundstrat. On the inside, Philip Bethke in the Porsche Cayman trying to catch both. Miguel Cristobal has a bit of bodywork damage on his front left corner, and just by dint of keeping his foot in, when also the Porsche had done enough to pull across his nose, it happened. So Philip Bethke not maybe quite as forceful as he could have been, and Marcus Lundstrat says, fantastic, I'm going to take the Pro-Am title and I'm going to win on the day. Happy days. He was a victor yesterday with his teammate Jules Simkowiak. So coming around to start the final lap, not put a wheel wrong in the hands of Ricardo van der Ende or the driver at the wheel of the McLaren right now. Finlay Hutchinson's got a gaggle of cars ahead of him, but he's got a 9, possibly a 10-second lead over the next best runner, which is Nico Menzel, coming up to start-finish line now in his BMW. It's 8.7 seconds, and it probably will come down because of the traffic ahead of Finlay Hutchinson. It matters not for a keep, they're sure. They took a win at the second race at Misano. They're going to add to that with another win here at the Nürburgring in this, the final round of 2018. The GT4 European Series living up to all the promise it had at the start of the year, and I would say even more. Yesterday's race was an absolute firecracker. This one slightly diluted by what happened out of turn 3 on the opening lap, and also the fact that 2 of the championship challengers, they were the championship leaders, were taken out ironically both through that same incident, one immediately and another as a result of damage from that. But no disrespect at all for the crew that's going to finish 5th on the road and take the title. The Phoenix Racing pairing of Milan Donci, who's bringing it home, and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. They have driven exceptionally well. Here's the 3rd place Mercedes going better and better. Gilles Magnus came on board to GT4 this weekend, made a real splash, and Baz Schuten is going to bring that bright green and yellow Mercedes home in 3rd place. Ferdinand Stuck not too far behind in 4th, sharing with Reinhard Koffler, True Racing KTM. They've driven very well all weekend. 3rd place yesterday, 4th place today. And the car coming home in 2nd place, Nico Menzel, building on the work Bates Gavissa did in the early part of the race, and they will add to yesterday's win with a second today. So really the top few crews swapping those positions around, but the day belongs to the car that's going to come home in 5th place overall. Milan Donche bringing it home. Nikolai Moller-Madsen has decided probably now doesn't need to bite his fingernails anymore, because it would take an absolute travesty for this not to complete the race in 5th place and take the overall title. Arms from the team around the shoulders of Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Through the chicane for the final time comes the race winner, undoubtedly now. Finley Hutchinson just has to accelerate out of the final corner, down the start-finish straight, and the job will be done. He's backed off a little on the final lap. No risks in the traffic. There it is. Victory, second yesterday, first today for him, and then through in the background comes yesterday's winner into second today. So it's Nico Menzel completing the race. What was the eventual margin? 10.4. In fact, he got affected more by the traffic, and with the number of cars behind, you can see how it is. And the green and yellow Mercedes Baz Schutend close to within 3.6 seconds. And here comes the 2018 GT4 European Series champion, Milan Donche. He's doing the driving. Nikolai Moller-Madsen is having the hugging up on the pit wall. Through into 5th place behind Ferdinand Stuck, but champions for 2018. The delight is there for all to see. Phoenix Racing, the local team from just across the main road outside the circuit in Moispath, they take the honours for 2018. And how's this? Chasing it all the way down to the finish. That is 7th place being contested. Already Marcus Lundstrass in the Racing One. Audi comes up to the finish line just ahead of Philip Bethke, but he wins the race today. He wins the overall championship for Pro-Am racers. And it's been a very, very good weekend indeed for the Racing One Audi team. Heart goes out to the number 1 BMW crew of Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt. Their race over on the opening lap, no fault of their own, caught up in an incident caused by Gabriel Piana, unfortunately spinning Pierre-Alexandre Jean's Ginetta round. But Ginetta, what am I talking about? Alpine around. Inadvertently in avoiding that, there was a clash with the side of the 55 Ginetta. That continued to the second half of the race, but just after Will Tregertha took it over, damage that from the side of the car, the exhaust was damaged, it set the bodywork on fire. Will could see nothing, brought it in a flame into the pit lane. The fire was put out, he got out of the car, but their championship was over. So the top 3 crews finishing on an equal score of 143 points apiece for the overall titles of the Phoenix Racing crew. And victor for the second day running in the AM class is number 42, Nicholas Scholl. He drives solo. He's had a fantastic weekend. But enjoying it, enjoying the moment, cruising in slowly with, you can be sure, a massive, massive smile on his face is Milan Donche. Can't wait to greet his friend and teammate when he gets into Parc Fermé. So Nikolai Moller-Madsen will be making his way probably at a skip up the pit lane to come down to the spot below the podium. In fact, they've just had to clear the Ginetta and all the damage from the fire being put out from just before Parc Fermé, but that should be complete by the time the cars come round at the end of the race. Wow, what an enthralling race to complete the 2018 GT4 European Series. For Milan Donche and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, you never give up. They were the outsiders this morning. They were 10 points behind their rivals who were equal at the top of the table. But they pressed and kept on pressing, and it really, really paid off.
Brilliant drive.
Ricardo van der Ende very happy with his teammate, Finley Hutchinson, and vice versa. So applause all round. No titles for them this year. They were in the hunt, but they really came on strong through the course of the season.
Okay.
They had poles. That was their second win, but Chequered will be back to fight another day, and they've had a really good campaign, but it's waiting for a car that will probably the overall winners. 5th overall today, but that was enough, Nikolai Moller-Madsen. But let's go down to the winning drivers, because Ricardo van der Ende started it, Finley Hutchinson finished off. They were 10 seconds clear at the finish.
Guys, a massive congratulations to the both of you. What an eventful race that was.
Yeah, I think a lot of carnage happened behind us, but yeah, with the start everything went well. Of course, pole position, we had a good lap, and yeah, good start from the beginning. And I was really happy with the safety car. I don't know what Kofler was doing, but I think it was napping a little. And after that, it was very good, and this guy just finished it off on a brilliant way.
Really successful weekend for the both of you. A second yesterday and a first today. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was really good. Ricardo handed over the car with great tyres. The safety car helped as well, so I just really had to cruise it to the end. All the work was done by this man today, and yeah, it was great fun. Thank you.
We had fun this year.
Well done, guys.
We'll be back.
Fun is a good thing to have, so Dakota down in an increasingly busy area beneath the podium, and there'll be big smiles, most notably at Phoenix Racing, the green and white Audi number 5 just coming in behind a gaggle of cars, 5th on track. They'd have loved to be higher up, but 5th was what they needed, precisely what they needed, 1 point position further down the order, and it wouldn't have been their weekend, but it was not their weekend and their year. So Milan Doncha coming in, racing family, his brother Indy races as well. Great sights and sounds, beautiful blue skies here at the Nürburgring. The track's been great all weekend. And here comes, to park up beneath the podium, this year's overall championship winning pairing. Milan Doncha in the car, Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Just can't wait to get in and congratulate him. That was tight, that was close, that was nervous right the way to the finish, but it was in their hands at the end. It was about just keeping it going to the very finish. The two rivals out of the race. I think I caught the words from Milan Doncha through his helmet. There's going to be a party tonight, and quite rightly so.
Hey, congrats.
Right, good to see rivals coming to applause. Nico Menzel and Benska Visser. They were yesterday's winners and picked up a second place today, but the overall honours for 2018 belong to this duo.
Thank you.
But let's go down with the 2018 champions, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and when he pops his helmet off, Milan Doncha.
Congratulations, boys. Nikolai, I'll start with you. Was that the longest 5 minutes of your life or what?
The longest 25-minute time, it's crazy. This is amazing. I mean, we worked.
Massive congratulations here from everyone. Very happy down in Parc Fermé. Milan, come here. Get your congratulations after. That really well done holding on to that.
Yeah, I drove not really well, but just at the points, and yeah, really happy. We got a lot of luck today. Didn't have the whole season, but now we got the luck, and really happy about it. Never been this happy.
But wait, one thing we have to remember: we finished 3 cars with same points, but we win the championship because we did the most wins, so we deserved it.
Yay! Congratulations.
Okay, guys, together.
Almost feel the party is starting not later, right now for the Phoenix Racing crew. So for Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Milan Doncha, congratulations, 2018 champions, the GT4 European Series. The smiles are on them. I feel the drinks might be on them as well later on. The podium ceremony to follow, but that was a weekend. It's been a weekend packed with incidents and fantastic racing. And today you could really feel the nerves starting to jangle. So there it is after 25 laps of racing. We had a period behind the safety car, but Finlay Hutchinson and Ricardo van der Ende clear winners by 10 seconds over yesterday's winner, the BMW crew of Nico Menzel and Benska Visser. Baz Schouten and Gilles Magnus really starting to make their impression felt in the Celleslar Racing Mercedes in 3rd place. Ferdinand Stuck, Reinhard Koffler, 3rd yesterday, 4th today. Solid weekend in their True Racing KTM. But overall champions for 2018, 5th place was just enough for Milan Doncha and Nikolai Moller-Madsen, the Dutchman and the Dane, to take the overall title by the fact they had more wins than their 2 championship rivals. Then Marcus Lundstrak, 6th overall, along with Jules Simkowiak. He wins the Pro-Am class on the day and the Pro-Am title for the year. And the car that chased them home, Mark Basseng and Philip Bethke, they take 2nd in the Pro-Am class and 2nd on the day as well. Top runner in the Am class finished in 19th place overall. Nicholas Scholl running all on his own in the one of the Allied Racing Porsche Caymans. So hats off to him. He did it the hard way and is really showing some of the older drivers that this young fellow has a lot of talent. And down in 36th on the listing, we lost Ronnie Searock on his debut and Kevin Stroshank. They went out with a little mishap right towards the end. No damage done, but the car off the circuit, getting on the loose stuff through the Schumacher S's. But a lot of drivers with a lot of tales to tell. Unfortunately, a few DNFs, and among them, well, 37th on the listing, Will Tregurtha and Stuart Middleton, their car on fire, had to be pulled off the side of the circuit due to damage from the incident on lap 1, but that also took out on lap 1 the other championship challengers, Simon Knapp and Max Cobalt. They were caught up in the incident down at turn 3, and there we have Knapp and Cobalt ending up in third place overall. Equal on scores for the overall winners. They have 1 win to their name. Will Chequered and Stuart Middleton also on 143 points, but they have 2 wins. But with 3 wins through 2018, Milan Donci and Nikolai Moller-Madsen are the overall champions of the GT4 European Series. So congratulations to the Phoenix Racing Audi crew. What a fantastic job they've done through the year. And to all their rivals, they'll be back again next year, I'm sure. And the racing gets better and better. So from the Nürburgring, it's been a phenomenal hour and a half of fun. In the Pro-Am class, it's Marcus Lundstrass from Mark Basseng and Philip Bethke, as it was at the end of the race. And Saba Moore ends up third overall. He drove for 3 teams through the year. But it was the Racing One Audi driver, Marcus Lundstrass, who was helped in the second part of the season by a really talented teammate in Jules Simkowiak, and they produced some great results. 2 class wins here and overall victory for the year. And then in the Am Cup, Nicky Leutviller, he'd already tied up the championship yesterday, and he finishes a good number of points, 32 points clear of Alessandro Giovanelli and Giuseppe Gessi for the Auto Orlando Sport Porsche crew, and Nicolas Schull moving up to 3rd place overall in the Am title with a good late season charge. But look at the start of the race, it was all very tidy through turn number 1. Pierre-Alexandre Jean gaining a little bit of ground on the outside. On the inside line, up to 3rd place from 5th, went the Phoenix Racing Audi, but unfortunately a push from Gabriel Piana spun Jean round. A clatter just at the bottom of your screen there. You might have noticed the Ginetta taking a hit. Also already out of the race, left with nowhere to go, front end damage. Simon Knapp didn't know where to look, and the tears still soon flowed. Max Cobalt, his teammate, had retired the car. There came Piana in for his drive-through penalty, and he unfortunately really did deserve that one. But making progress was the 55 Ginetta. Stuart Middleton doing all he could to keep it towards the sharp end of the field. A few mishapes up and down the field. That was the number 32 Mercedes going off there, Lewis Phillips Sonnen, and then a little bit of clattering. Now look just behind, you'll see the little blue KTM is about to be squeezed as they go up towards turn 2, nowhere that he can go, and a few cars being fired off to the side of the circuit, including the number 3 Audi. And the battling kept on going, trying to get ahead of the 22 KTM. It was nip and tuck. This was the car that was gunning for championship honours. This was the Phoenix Racing Audi, pushing hard. Now, look at the pit stop for number 55. All was going well for them. They were checking the car out. They wanted to see what the level of damage was to the side. It didn't look too bad. Thumbs up from Stuart Middleton, but within a lap, flames under the wheel arch and lots of smoke in the cockpit. Will Chequered couldn't see where he was, had to retire the car. The flames were put out, and then a big moment for Ronnie Searock towards the end of the race. He was out of the race, no damage, but a scary moment for the debutant. But Philip Bethke in the Porsche Cayman being pushed very, very hard indeed, and losing out as Marcus Lundstrass went past him, not just for Pro-Am honours in the race, but Pro-Am honours for the entire season. So victory at the end of the day went after an exemplary drive to Finlay Hutchinson, building on the work of Ricardo van der Ende for Equipe Vauxhall McLaren team. But overall, 5th place was absolutely what the doctor ordered, to squeak into the narrowest of victories, equal on points, but overall victors for 2018. Milan Donci, who was on board, and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. There they are. Well, the crew's starting to come out onto the podium. There are the overall winners. That's Finlay Hutchinson, and that's Ricardo van der Ende, waiting for Finlay Hutchinson to join him. But it was so tight at the end. We know the identities, Phoenix Racing's champions. In fact, these are the pole setters. They come out and take their overall Pro-Am and Am pole setters there first onto the podium. They'll go back out. That's Nicky Leutviller on the left. Mark Basseng in the middle. Great run for him. Pro-Am taking 4th on the grid. And Ricardo van der Ende took the overall pole for the race. A race we have just enjoyed, and enjoyed enormously. Max Brahms, series coordinator, bringing out their watches. So huge applause all round, and then we'll wait for the overall podium to come out, and we'll see Ricardo van der Ende very soon indeed. He should be back out as the winner. He won the overall race today with his teammate Finlay Hutchinson for Equipe Vauxhall. Sentinel in Nürburgring Castle, looking down across the circuit. Lovely to see bright blue skies, sunshine here in the middle of September. Certainly the Nürburgring stage is well and truly set for racing this weekend. It's been fabulous through Saturday, and this has really got off the race Sunday to a very good start indeed. So Gilles Magnus, there he is, and his teammate Bad Shoot in 3rd place. A really good drive for them in the Salazar Racing Mercedes. up from 7th overall. Bikes-Gewisser and Nico Menzel, 2nd today, 1st yesterday. Really, really strong for them, for the RN Vision STS crew. 2nd yesterday, but 1st today. Finley Hutchison, Ricardo van der Ende up onto the top step for Equipe Verschure. So hats off for the national anthem. Ricardo van der Ende, no stranger to podium ceremonies, and he shows his absolute delight. It's been a really good season for the duo, but they didn't just win today. They won by 10 seconds, but there were more serious matters to be sorted really behind them. It was who was going to win the championship. We know the identity of the winners, but honestly can't think the last time I've seen, if ever, I've seen a championship where we've had the top 3 crews finishing equal on scores. For the matter to be settled by overall wins. I think we're going to see a lot more of Nico Menzel and Bikes-Gewisser, 2 wins in the last 3 races and the 2nd today. Good to see some new faces up on the podium as well. Gilles Magnus, his first race in GT4, he's on the right hand side of the podium, and to his left, either driver we see right on the right, Baz Schuten. He's done the whole season, but Gilles stepped in and really made quite a splash. And it's great to see young single-seaters having a crack at GTs, and really for a lot of them they see that as their real home. So it doesn't matter, those suits can get absolutely soaked with champagne. The season is over for these GT4 drivers, and it's to do so in sunshine at the Nürburgring has been fantastic with some brilliant racing. So today, ultimate applause to Ricardo van der Ende and Finley Hutchison for winning on the day, and to Milan Donci and Nikolai Moller-Madsen as the overall champions. It couldn't have been any tighter, and it's been a brilliant season of racing, a real accolade for GT4 as a racing series. And I think the eyes of the world look at this series, and we will have more and more manufacturers coming out to play, of that I am sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, wir begrüßen auf dem Podium die Gesamtsieger im Silber Cup.
So please welcome the overall champions for 2018 out on the podium, Milan Donci and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. What a season they've had. It looks as though they were the outside shot today. They arrived here 10 points behind 2 other crews. So the MDM Motorsport crew fell on the opening lap, and then just after the pit stops, the other crew with which they were battling, the HHC Motorsport Ginetta crew, they too met a fate that actually, ironically, was a result of a first lap that same first lap clash. Both of them innocent parties. Great to see 2 drivers so happy, but I think Nikolai Moller-Madsen still sort of in slight shock. He had to watch it unfold. Milan Donci had the advantage. He didn't have to. He was the one doing the driving. He could just focus on that. But for Milan, he had the easier task. For Nikolai, he had to do the maths on the pit wall. He had to watch all the other cars, see how they were faring. But they've come through. 3 wins. To them, no win today, but 5th place was enough for the 2018 GT4 European Series title. The party is now well and truly underway for Phoenix Racing. for Milan Doce and for this man, Nikolai Moller-Madsen. What a year it's been. Yeah, don't lose those trophies behind. Those are the most important ones of the year. The overall championship trophies for 2018. Fantastic 2 days of racing. Now, we're not over yet because, of course, we've got the Pro-Am and Am ceremonies to enjoy as well. So, the fresh set of bottles of champagne, of trophies being brought ready for the podium ceremony, and it's rather fitting that the driver who won the Pro-Am class today is also the Pro-Am champion for the season. That'll be Marcus Lundstrass. He'll be welcomed out any moment now. He enjoyed his year with the Racing One Audi, and he enjoyed a number of different teammates, but certainly really came good towards the end of the year once he got Jules Simkowiak alongside him. Third place on the day, Portuguese driver Miguel Cristobal and Pavel Lefterov coming out to enjoy the action on the podium. Third place for them. They really closed in through the closing laps of the race. And waiting for the 13 crew, Philip Bethke and Mark Bassing to come out. Second place today, Schrader Motorsport, second place in the championship with their Porsche Cayman. Good to hear a boisterous crowd beneath the podium, and they're ready to welcome the overall champion in Pro-Am. Any moment, there he is, the tall figure of Marcus Lundstrass. And out behind him, having made his splash as well, the Thunderhead overalls is Jules Simkowiak up onto the top step. But it's Marcus Lundstrass who's done the entire season, the Racing One Audi, who takes the title. So congratulations to all 6 drivers, the top 3 top 3 crews in the Pro-Am honours today. Just to reiterate, it was a Racing One Audi on the top step, 77 crew of Marcus Lundstrass and his teammate in the latter half of the season, Jules Simkowiak. On the left of the podium, it's Mark Bassing and Philip Bethke in their Schrader Motorsport Porsche Cayman. On the right step for third place overall, Pavel Lefterov and his teammate Miguel Cristobal, Portuguese teammate in the RN Vision STS BMW, closed right in at the end of the race.
And after the official photos, gentlemen, it's time for champagne.
These drivers know what to do. Great to see again 3 different makes of cars for the top 3 crews, just showing the diversity of the GT4 category. Bethke getting some pretty neat shots in there with his spray right into the face of Jules Simkowiak. But I think the driver with the biggest celebration is the driver with the pink flash on his dark overalls. That's Marcus Lundstrass, arms aloft. It's been a great year for him. Special celebratory shirts. Obviously thought the title was coming their way, so Marcus Lundstrass and Jules Simkowiak were prepared for the podium ceremony. Good to see that. It's always a shame when you see drivers having to take their pre-prepared shirts and put them in the bin when the title didn't come their way, but Lundström had a good advantage on points. And look, the crew have them as well. That's great to see. Family and friends down there making a goodly amount of noise. And the Nürburgring's been a circuit that Markus Lundström loves enormously. He's been racing in the 24 hours here since 2004. 35-year-old. But really has stepped up this season to do the GT4 European Series, and he's reaped the benefits. And now just waiting for the final podium. It should be for the AM finishers. The top three crews coming out onto the podium, and victory today went to 42, as it did yesterday, to Nicolas Scholl. But in third place today in the AM class, Eric Mouet and David Loger in the Alpine A110, running in the AM class alongside their championship challenging sister car, Eric Mouet and David Loger. In second place, we have the 39 crew, fellow French racers Grenelle Delomier and Sylvain Debs. They've been racing a 3-wide technology BMW M4, but onto the top step for the second day running, racing all on his own, the young face of Nicolas Scholl in his Allied Racing Porsche Cayman. And if you think that Nicolas Scholl looks young, he only turned 17 a month ago. Started this season as a 16-year-old, his first season of car racing, and what a splash he's made. Coming stronger and stronger through the course of the season. The AM title, though, was won yesterday, already clinched by a driver who knows these cars so well, Niki Leutwiler, Swiss racer. But it's the young Austrian who really has impressed as the season has unfolded. Allied Racing will no doubt try and hang on to him for next season as well. Yeah, the smile is broad. You know a driver's young when you know they've got another year of schooling ahead of them. They can go and discuss their results with their friends, but clearly finding some great form in the AM class. And no bad run at all to do it all on his own and finish in 19th place overall, with the pros and the Pro-Am crews in front of him and behind him. So that's it for the 2018 GT4 European Series. Do join us again next year. We'll have more cars, more faces, and if we have racing as good as this year, we'll really be laughing. It's been a fantastic season.